Record.
Hello, all neuroplasticians. We're here with Dr. Amin regarding his sessions around the neuroscience of communication. Good to have you and your fresh new mustache with us today. Amin, how are you?
Great. So it's Men's Health Month. So we're sporting the mustache.
Love it. I love it.
We're gonna see if we can get a couple people. Can you join us, Dr. JJ?
I'm joining you. Are you in?
No, I'm talking about the mustache, man. The mustache. Come on.
I'm such a feeble mustache, but I'm going to do my best. Okay. Next time you see me, I will be caterpillarized.
So great. Welcome everyone. This is our second month. We're unpacking the CRAVE leadership model with neuroplasticity. This month we're going to be talking about respect. How those that interact and really stimulate our neuroplasticity and the regions of the brains that it stimulates as we use it the proper way in leadership settings. So today we're going to do something a little bit different. As part of our introductions, we're going to go around. Everyone can introduce themselves. But part of the introduction, we're going to have a little bit of, we're going to challenge our neuroplasticity here so we can get going. So imagine you're in a leadership role and you've just learned about the profound impact of respect on neuroplasticity. How might this newfound understanding change the way you lead and interact with your team? And I'll go first so that you guys can see what we're going to be doing. So for me, respect is a big deal. The idea of psychological safety resonates with me. I will focus on creating an environment where my team members feel free to express themselves without fear of judgment, fostering neural pathways that resonate with authenticity and openness. All right, I'll turn it over to who wants to go next.
I'll go.
All right, let's do this.
So this is Tanner Thorpe. I really like what you said there about psychological safety, right? Like when you think about what respect in leadership does for people, it gives them the opportunity, one, to feel free to open to voice their concerns, to be open to their ideas, but it also triggers their dopamine receptors, right? So when they feel heard, when they feel respected, they feel good, right? When they have dominant leaders that don't give them open forums, it triggers that cortisol, right? Which causes them to shut down. Then you get those, very frustrated, you can feel the tension in the room type of environment. So using neuroplasticity as it relates to respect and leadership helps them grow their ability to be more effective leaders, to be more effective team members, to be more effective employees, to work through their problems in healthier ways. And with that dopamine firing off in them, it makes them feel good about coming to work. They show up in much more profound ways.
That is awesome. I mean, you said a lot there, and we'll go back to it. So let's continue the introductions. I think Claudia had raised her hand, right?
Yeah. Hi everyone. My name is Claudia. I'm in the UK. Completely agree with what's already been said. And I was thinking about when I think about psychological safety, also think about the C.R.A.V.E model. So status, certainty, autonomy, relatedness, and fairness, and how people actually relate to that in their interactions, in the environment. One thing is about giving space so people can actually express their own ideas about that in relation to the model. And I personally, if it was the very first time I was hearing about it, I would have everyone in the room, I would put on Aretha Franklin, Respect, and I would have everyone sing that to the loudest and get into that and get into their bodies, and then likely invite a conversation around it, because then they'll be out of their heads.
Absolutely love that. Great energy, Claudia. You're in the right room for sure.
Right. I'm going to piggyback off of that. Claudia, we haven't met. I'm Cody Deal. My background is in neuroscience, and I'm going to piggyback off what Tanner said. So if we create environments where we have that psychological safety net, or we have a safe space, Tanner brought up an area, cortisol. Tanner, you brought up cortisol, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. We know cortisol is one of the neurotransmitters or neurochemicals that are being released when we're either in a fight or flight state. So whenever we have, whenever we're put into an environment where we don't feel safe, we have a heightened state of not only dopamine, but we have cortisol and other what we call chemoreceptors. So these chemoreceptors pick up these neurotransmitters where we feel heightened. And if we are in a heightened state, one, we're either going to remember that occasion, or it's going to be something where we block out a lot. And when we talk about synaptic transmission, where that actual message is being sent, if it's something that's not being stored correctly, that's not going to be an area where we can recall as efficiently as possible. And so not only does increasing the dopamine, but also decreasing cortisol, so that we're not left in that heightened state of awareness. Because when that hippocampus, which is basically our random access memory in our brain, when that is not functioning properly, we're not going to be able to not only communicate effectively, but in turn lead effectively. So definitely respect is a huge portion of learning how our brain works, so that we can help others' brains work efficiently.
Great stuff there, Cody. Great stuff. So we have another newbie here, Narish. You want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. My name's Narish Jassel. I'm originally from England as well. So understanding the profound impact of respect on neuroplasticity would lead me to adopt a more kind of respectful and supportive leadership style. I would actively, consider promoting a culture of respect within the team that would inevitably enhance their brain's adaptability and overall performance. This may include listening actively to their ideas, providing constructive feedback, and creating an environment where each team member feels valued and empowered. Such leadership skills and approaches will inevitably foster a more innovative and adaptable team, and ultimately that will lead to better outcomes.
Thank you for that, Narish. Dr. JJ, you're gonna finish us off here.
Sorry, my microphone wasn't working. I love the question. I mean, and the question is, what would you do as a leader? So what I would do as a leader is I would speak very little about the science, because if I'm speaking to my organization, the science is all cool for us neuro nerds, but in the organization, you show me the money, show me the science, show me the benefits to the organization. So I would speak about how this improves teamwork. I would speak about how understanding the science improves functional business outcomes. I would speak into their language. So I would probably pepper it with a bit of neuroscience to make myself look neuro cool, but I wouldn't get lost in the science, because it doesn't help anybody. Claudia, you were mentioning the neuro leadership stuff from David Rock, and as much as I find his competence of knowing the science very shaky, and the C.R.A.V.E model at best wobbly, he does a very good job at translating the science to business. And that's why neuro leadership is so huge, and us nerds are sitting in the corner stroking our beards. I mean, for manhood. So if I was in the organizational space, I would speak about the business benefits, and I would reference a little bit around the neuroscience, but not a lot. So I hope that's okay as an answer.
Absolutely. There's no wrong answer. And this is what I
there
love.
totally is, my friend. If we start speaking about how oxytocin helps you grow a mustache, we'll definitely be in the wrong place.
May I follow up?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm talking about the C.R.A.V.E model. When I was in corporate, in banking, I remember going to a few sessions where they had the C.R.A.V.E model. So you're talking about it's different teams across the bank. So I was in technology, but there were different people across the bank that attended. And you're right, it's very relatable. And still, people even found that challenging, even though the words were relatable. And that comes from putting people in a setting to have the conversations, because people are still very protective of themselves and exposing. So just like anything else, you kind of have to repeat the language over and over, and to your point, make it relatable. They can easily digest it, and it can't be too much, because most of the time people don't like to take time out away from their jobs to learn new things, even if it's part of making them more like their brains effective. So I just found it really interesting. So I'd go to these things, but then still work with my teams, but do coaching and just like my own personality, and kind of have them kind of talk back to it. It's not a one and done. So that's just the point to remember.
What would be really cool, Claudia, is to really dig into your brain. Maybe it's not now. I don't think it's necessary now, but it would be really cool, Claudia, to learn more about your experience in skeptical banking environments, to hear how and what they buy, because there's a lot of consultants and coaches in the NPN Hub that want to learn how to sell into the services. So we have a whole hub on the entrepreneurial skills of the neuroplastician. So please keep that in mind. If you're interested in being in that conversation, it would be so cool to have your fresh perspective if you're up for that.
And Claudia, I think something that you just brought up that is so important as we're talking about neuroplasticity and respect and leadership is that people are ego driven, right? And you just hit the nail on the head. When you go into a training like that, they're very protective of their egos, right? And so being able to bring them out of that shelter, using respect as a leadership tool, helps them start to say, okay, my voice is valid, right? My ego, I can let down the shield a little bit to my ego and present ideas and know that I'm not going to be ostracized for it. But especially in highly competitive and individualized worlds like the banking world, financial world, your ego is everything that you have. Your confidence is everything that you have as you present yourself. So I think you nailed it with being able to give people a safe space to be able to drop their walls a little bit and let the ego take a little bit of a back seat.
Yeah, true. And it's all about the leader, because we know that culture and environments mimic leaders, even if like the individual is different or wants to do it a different way, but they're going to go with the culture because they're protecting their reputation, their survival, and all sorts of things. So yeah.
Oh, that's so good.
There's so much on that. Now I've left, and but there's so much on that. But yeah.
Well, we can,
follows the leader. That's good.
Yeah. Well, since we're already down, a little bit down that rabbit hole, and Dr. JJ loves this, going down rabbit holes. Why don't we just jump into discussing how leaders who demonstrate empathy and respect can create a culture of kindness within a team?
about that. So I was in banking, in technology for a while. I left about 16 months ago to become a full-time caregiver for my mum. So I left Canada and moved back to the UK. And I've been in like a senior manager leadership position for a while. And I always felt like I didn't actually fit in the bank. And why I say that is just because of like humor, deep empathy and compassion for people. I was like a therapist, counselor behind the scenes for my teams, even for senior executives, kind of informal coaching. And what I found is because I respond and come alive in chaos, disruption, and uncertainty, probably because of things I've been through in life. And so my resilience is there. And so being able to support people in times of change, understanding, showing empathy, giving space for people to actually express their fears and concerns and not make it all about the change or everything that's happening or how difficult work is. That's really a big deal. To have people touch parts of themselves that they usually don't touch at work and be able to hold that in confidence. So I was able to do all of that, but that was uncommon in that space. And because I was like that, anytime that I needed something done, and in technology, lots of things go wrong, like cybersecurity, all these things, I was always able to tap people on the shoulder and get work done. So when you are that type of leader, and when you actually, if you put people first, their brain, think about that, right? And their heart, it makes a big difference because then performance improves. And more than that, then the team has a really deep level of connection. So I was always thinking about my impact in every single interaction beyond what I was doing with that person, and then how they would take that back into what they're doing with their colleagues, but also in their personal life. Like a lot of people talk to me about their personal life, and I would always know what people were doing in their personal lives before work, just to have that human to human connection. That type of environment, like we need that, especially now what's happening in organizations, and that creates a lot of safety.
Oh, without it. I mean, you said so much there. Oh, wow. My brain is like, so one of the things I'm known for different things. One of the things that I'm really proud of is saying that I use, which is loving people, loving self. And at the heart of what leadership is that and everything you said, it just encompasses that. So I know I've had several conversations with Tanner, and this week we talked about something that we've discussed several times, and it's arrows in, not arrows out. So Tanner, I'm gonna throw the ball on your court there with that said.
All right. Well, I'd love to jump in on that. That goes back to ego, right? People who are very protective of their ego are often arrows out, right? They want to focus on their surroundings instead of really being introspective and trying to understand where their gaps are internally and how they show up as their most authentic and intentional selves. I think it's important to recognize there's a distinction between empathy and compassion, right? And we talk a lot about this in our culture where we get the privilege to work, that empathy says that I feel what you feel, right? But compassion says that I recognize you feel a certain way, and I'm going to give you space, and I'm going to walk beside you in that. That's a completely different approach, right? Empathy can be really draining if we're being honest. Having empathy for someone else and feeling what they're feeling when they're going through a time of real struggle, it can be very taxing on you. So, I think it's important to bring compassion into it and say, as Claudia just said so well, that I'm going to give you the opportunity to express to me how I can best help you. And I'm going to be arrows in. I'm going to look at myself and make sure that I have the capacity to offer what you need to help you in the best way. And it also takes a different level of strength to say, okay, I recognize that you're struggling with this, and I may not be the best person at this time to help you with that, because of whatever reasons as a leader, and direct them towards other leaders that may be able to walk with them through that. So again, that's a real arrows in approach. That's really knowing yourself and saying how can I best show up for me, and how can I best show up for you and help you in those moments.
That's great right there, Tanner. You unpacked a lot there. When we really focus on ourselves, not on others. And I've experienced that in different periods of my life where I forget that I let, I point out the outside. Oh, that's what's going on. That's affecting me, instead of, being introspective and saying, hold on a second, no matter what's going on the outside, it's about how I'm dealing with it. How do I look at that? So as we continue having these conversations, it's really cool how people's perspective is a bit different. Cody, I want to ask you, what neural pathways are activated when we experience these types of respectful behaviors or not?
So, and Tanner, I feel like I'm piggybacking off everything that you say, which is great. So when you create an environment where you're not only just a number at the company, but you're the banker, you're the chef, you're the concierge desk employee or team member, when you become the actual person that you grow a relationship and so that person's not only your boss, but now your friend and leader, you do have that safety net. And so you're able to lower that guard, and you're able to experience a much more holistic relationship with that person. That leader doesn't become just the person that writes your paychecks, but they become your safety net. And so being able to look past the person that is going to make sure I get paid every other Friday, they become the person that you can call at 11 o'clock at night and they'll listen to you. You have the ability to not only experience work, but you get to experience life with that leader. And so growing those neural pathways, those neural pathways become much more, they grow in a multitude other than a workplace setting. And so, especially when you have a leader or a group or network of colleagues that become friends, you're going to not only experience life in a workplace setting, but you're going to experience life with those people around you. And you're going to be able to communicate more clearly because they have a sense of purpose. They're going to have a sense of self, and then they're going to have a sense of self-worth with those people. I'm not only the person that works for them, but I'm also the person that they can count on. So much more in-depth, holistic relationships where people feel valued. Many, many more. I shouldn't say that they can create more neural pathways, because they will do that, but the strength in efficiency of creating those neural pathways will be advanced.
Awesome. So Naresh, so if you can touch a little bit upon that, the empathy, the respect, and having a culture of kindness.
Yes, of course. So piggyback off what you've said, Dr. Amin, and also Tanner and Cody. Culture and respecting neuroplasticity aligns with like various levels of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. One of the things I think which really promotes that is love and a sense of belonging. A culture of respect enhances social connections among team members, promoting a sense of belonging. I think that's really, really important in the working environment. When individuals feel respected, heard, and valued, I think that essentially contributes to positive relationships within a team. So in essence, if somebody feels loved, respected, and valued within a team, they actually go above and beyond. I think so. That's very, very crucial. and neuroplasticity obviously aligns with so many various aspects of the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And I think that's what we need to consider also.
Good stuff there. Good stuff there. Dr. JJ, anything you want to add to this conversation?
Oh, now you've opened the can of worms, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
Oh, I don't even know where to go. I mean, ask me the question again so that I don't go off on a tangent.
So we actually had twofold. One is discussing how leaders demonstrate empathy and respect that lead to creating a culture of kindness. And second, I wanted to bring in the neuroscience behind it, and I asked Cody about what neural pathways are activated or created when we see those when we use those behaviors and see those behaviors.
I think there's so much wisdom in what Tanner was saying earlier, Tanner. So kudos to you for your description around empathy and compassion, and I'm really interested in diving into that. Maybe at another conversation, around the neuroplasticity that is facilitated by empathy, by sympathy, by compassion, by respect. There's so many functions that happen in that regard. So Tanner, let's I don't know if you're up for that, Tanner, but it'll be a cool conversation to have with you because they are very distinct from each other. And personally, I think emotional intelligence should be called feeling intelligence. That maybe is a conversation to unpack for another day. But I mean, my personal opinion is that it all comes down to your felt experience. If you don't feel safe or you don't feel respected or whatever the good feeling that needs to be experienced as being part of the team or respected or whatever, if you don't get that felt experience, game over. So I think that is so important. In my coaching of executives, I often speak to them about the neurolinguistics. And I'll say to them, your language is the most important thing that you do as a leader. And I then help unpack what neurolinguistics mean. A lot of them think, oh, shit, you're going to try and sell me NLP. And I say, no, relax. We're not going to go down NLP. There's great tools that come out of NLP, but this is not NLP. And I speak to them how the brain processes language when it's formed and when it's heard. And there is such great understanding of how that works from Broca and beyond, and how all that works. So that also could be another conversation, is we look at how to apply the science to make it user-friendly for the leaders in their day jobs.
I think that's a great project for us as the NPN Hub to take on. And I mean, and then we can work on publishing something like that. That'd be amazing.
Speaking of publishing, now, sorry guys, I'm going to go off on tangent, but maybe Cody and maybe we should stay after class and speak about this. But I was approached by a journal saying, have you got anything up your sleeve? And I said, well,
yes.
Let me ask around. And I posted a note in the NPN Hub, and I didn't get any replies. I don't know, Cody, have you joined the NPN Hub? Are you in the group there?
I'm not in the group yet.
No, you must join in, buddy. It's not expensive, and it'd be nice to have that conversation with you, as well as Tanner and Naresh. I don't know if you're in the group, but it would be great to have these discussions because there's great opportunity. I published a small paper on this, looking at the neuroscience of psychological, or what is it called now? It is called the coaching psychology of neuropsychological safety, a really easy title to remember for a paper. And it was published with a different journal, but there's lots of appetite for this. And on the back of that, and this is the last point, then I'll stop. I mean, on the back of that, there is huge opportunity for us to publish that as a review, as a layman's article through Psychology Today, where I run a blog, and that blog is going off. It is just everything we published, the article that we did, I mean, it was just boomed. So there is opportunity in the in that environment, which I'll stop now. But those of you who are interested, everybody, not only Cody, and I mean, everybody's interested in that environment of publishing and researching. Let's do it. Please reply to my message on the NPN Hub. Nobody's commented. Please reply.
AJ, I'm gonna hop on that. You're gonna see I think you're gonna see a huge surge in wanting to understand not only the neuroscience behind it, but we're gonna see more and more AI generated processes when it comes to, I mean, the hope for some of these business leaders is, well, if I can take out the human element of it, then I can take out human error. And take out human error, you're going to take out, you're going to lose that empathy. You're going to lose the sympathy. You're going to lose the brain behind it. And sure, I'm sure a computer or AI can do many, many greater things than what we can do right now. But what they can't do is understand empathy and sympathy. And I think we've all seen iRobot, and we know where that's going to go. So, yeah, definitely, let's get the papers rolling.
I just saw the interview between Elon Musk and the Prime Minister of the UK, Claudia. I don't remember his name. Maybe you can help me. Seeing you,
Richie Sunak.
There you go. And the interview was so good about this point, Cody. And in the near future, I mean, give it a couple of years, the distinction between the human condition and AI is going to be zero. Right. And what's going to make us human is our human condition. And this is why communities like this are going to flourish, because it is when we are, having beautiful, creative, and sometimes irritating conversations. Yes. And the idea behind this community of the NPN Hub is simply that if we're going to survive into the AI next stage of technology, we need to have connection. And in the connection of finding intelligent and interested people around the application of neuroscience, it's very difficult because there's so much rumble in the jungle. There's so many snaky spin doctors, and I don't know, Cody, if you know the names Paul Zak or Michael Platt, but these guys are, I mean, you should just look them up. They're very, very well respected academics in the environment of applied neuroscience. And, they have committed to joining the NPN Hub as advisory board members. So all we need to do, guys, is carry on having this kind of conversation, and the big dogs are going to come want to play in our schoolyard. So these conversations, I mean, are basically the most important thing for community and our credibility. So I've become a bit of an evangelist there, so please forgive me.
Can you put their names in the chat?
I will do now.
Yeah. Thank you.
Just as who is talking about safety? Shoshana.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Same thing.
Shoshana was.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay, I'm just that's me being my inclusive, like, oh, I
No,
saw
no, I
that.
didn't see you.
So
That's okay. Dr. JJ, we were talking this morning. So hi, my name is Shoshana. I actually live in Toronto, Canada. So I was backdooring you to see where you were living when you were up here. But I'm new to the community. I'm kind of checking it out to see who these people are and talk about safety, if I'm safe in this community. So I was just coming in to see what the roundtables are like. So thank you for having me and checking on your safety.
That's very good, Claudia. Thank you. Shoshana, I thought you were just hovering because of our last call, so I didn't know you were here. So
No,
yeah, so it's very good to know that this is a community. And when people send in their AI Otter apps to record the sessions, I delete those buggers because this is dialogue. So if you're not available for conversation, this isn't the place. Because we're very much a community-centric community where we want to meet, greet, and beat each other up with science so that we find the truth together.
yeah, Shoshana, I was in Toronto, and yeah, I was around the kind of Yonge and St. Clair area.
Okay, yeah, I'm just north. Yeah, very nice. Yeah, I wanted to hear what it's about before I dive in, but I'm really enjoying this conversation. And one thing that I've been thinking about as you've been talking is back when I was teaching in an environment where you didn't necessarily have the full support of the administration in a private school, and they were asking you to make some choices based on the way the parents were going to react versus what was absolutely best for the students, and you're clawing to keep your job. You go into this fight, flight, or freeze state, and you can't do your very best work. So that's kind of what I was thinking about, of if you're not getting that empathy or respect or good relationship with the people above you, you can't be the best leader yourself too. And you're going to learn from those experiences. That's what I had on my mind.
Awesome. Well, thank you for contributing. I was actually going to call on you next. I didn't know who you were, but here is all goals in our roundtables. We kind of pass the ball around and let everyone share their thoughts. So moving along, when we look at mirror neurons, and for me, when I was really getting into the neuroscience of it, I looked at the mirror neurons as the neural conductors of empathy. So they embody the essence of respectful interactions. When we observe respectful behaviors, mirror neurons fire, stimulating the experience as if we were the recipients of it. So we're mirroring the emotions and what the other people are feeling. Talking on empathy, I know we've touched a little bit upon that. Everyone has. For me, empathy embodies a lot. So one of the things that we see in this in our new society, I would say, is that we have a perfect example is we have single parents. So we have a lot of people that they don't have the support system. And when you're a single parent in the workplace, that's that's really hard, because for those of us that have kids, we understand the struggles. There are certain days where they don't want to get up. There are certain days they're sick, doctor's appointments, all kinds of stuff, extracurricular activities. And all that is part of who we are, but also in the workplace, we have to take that into consideration. And where's the empathy towards that group of people and allowing them the flexibility of, do we let them come in later, stay later, maybe flex some days where they're not in the office? Let's talk a little bit about that, that empathy side. So I'll throw it out there. Who wants to jump on that first?
I can. Well, there's a big report that's been out about people quitting at work. I don't know if you've probably seen it. So, that speaks to not just people being dissatisfied at work, but also still moving through the effects of COVID and rearranging their lives and understanding what's happening with parents and schools and all the rest of it. So there's something that's really big that needs to happen, right? That speaks to empathy and flexibility, because a lot of corporations are their goal is either to get people back into the office, or some organizations are having people work completely remote. And so there's a few camps. Some people need connection, right? They actually need that physical connection and empathy and the human touch. And then there's the issue of isolation.
Yeah, I mean, those are huge ones that every organization is going to have to fight that fight, whether they want to or not. What are your thoughts on that, Tanner?
So I think you bring up some really good points about neuromirroring, right? When we talk about what effects are our organizations having on their workers, and what effects are those workers then having on their children or their home life, right? So when you talk about if we're in an environment that is high stress, there's not a lot of give, there's not a lot of respect. The employee often goes home stressed. Speaking to a single parent, they feel like they can't ever catch a break. They can't get their kids off to school. They can't be there for the extracurricular activities. They always have to have someone else watching their kid. They don't have the personal interaction. What kind of effect is that having? And what is that neurologically doing to the child, right? Then the reverse is true also. If you put systems in place like what you're talking about, I mean, where the team member feels supported, it's recognized, hey, you are a single parent. How can we help you? All of a sudden, the transition from the environment at home changes. You come home in a better attitude. You recognize that you're supported. All of a sudden, the child feels supported. The child's happier. There's less stress in the house. So, that neural mirroring, it's significant, and especially in the context of single parents. So I think it's very important to take into account. We are in a hybrid workforce now, right? When I came up, the idea of working long hours meant that you were productive and you were working harder and you were doing better. But that's not the truth. The reality is efficiencies drive outcomes.
Yes.
So if you're finding ways to be more efficient, you technically can work less hours and still get more work done. It's not about office hours, right? It's about what are you doing to get the work done, and how is that translating in your personal life? Because a happier work-life balance creates happier team members.
Absolutely. I know Claudia is like shooting a bunch of stuff there on the chat. You want to jump in?
No, it's just I'm just putting in things that come up, right? I heard what Tanner's talking about. What we're talking about, the ripple effect. We're talking about impact at the end of the day. Even if people don't understand the neurologically all the different words, we're actually talking about how we impact one another, and that's just happening on a constant. It's continuous. We're just not present always to the impact that we're having on ourselves with our own negative self-talk and all the saboteurs, right, in our heads, and then the ripple effect of that with how we interact with others and situations. And then just to Tanner's point, I was just thinking, oh yeah, old school workhorse, right? Working all the hours. I can remember in the 90s working and then bringing work home. And I had a child, like, and raising, so we're talking about, when I look at my span of work, like over 30 years, things have really changed. Really changed. And now I'm out of the workforce. Something that's really present and in my heart is how do I go back and support leaders, aspiring leaders, women who are raising children on their own, women like me who are maybe caregivers and they can't give up work, like I had to give up work. And so there's all these different impacts. It impacts us financially, economically is a big one. And so there's all these different things. And I think brain health, and just as we have more awareness of our brains and being able to bring them, not just language, but common language, that just people are so stressed, like you're talking about, so stressed that it needs to be bite-sized and repeated, but relatable and relevant to what people are going through and very specific, and coming from people who, when you're in an environment, it's like you're talking about a culture of kindness, I mean like a culture of care. Because love is number one for me, but also when we care for one another, that it leads to that empathy and compassion. I feel really
that.
strong about all of this. So I'm just gonna, just.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
Claudia, I'm gonna piggyback off what you said. I mean, how many times do we want to go to work and work for somebody that we know doesn't show us the caring or the love or the kindness? I mean, that's difficult to do. Nobody wants to go be around, surround themselves with that dark hole of all right, get your work done, and they don't want to show interest in you. And one of the most profound things that I ever witnessed, I worked in a lab where when I first started, I was so excited to work for this doctor and learn from them, and they were so renowned for what they were doing. And I would get there and be in the lab at 6 a.m. and they wouldn't leave till 6, 7, 8 p.m., which I thought, oh, we're doing great work. But then I would look at the leader and they were miserable. And so, yeah, we're doing profound work, but why would I want to be surrounding myself with somebody that's so miserable? And so, yes, creating a culture of love and culture of care it is paramount when you want to do good, when you want to, revolutionize something. So, yeah, I agree wholeheartedly there.
Narish, talk to us.
Yeah, I'm just going to piggyback off what of Cody said and everybody else. I totally agree. And fostering that positive mindset, and also your vernacular, your verbiage that you use as a leader, I think is very, very crucial. We spoke about NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, certain type of programming sessions that you can actually tailor for your organization. They'll help release positive hormones, for example, oxytocin. If you foster a sense of trust and a connection in a kind of therapeutic setting, I think that may promote a release of oxytocin, as often called the bonding hormone. And that's where I think team members and staffs and employees actually want from their leaders. They want that kind of open forum where they can show transparency and build that kind of trust and have that better work-life balance.
If I can jump in on that, I mean, I think it all comes back down to oxytocin. Obviously, it's not that simple. I mean, there's vasopressin and a whole cocktail of neurotransmitters and neuropeptides involved. But in saying that, it is a very important part of the experience. Cody, if you type Paul Zak oxytocin into Google, you will see how much incredible work he has published in this domain. I think he's the most published author on oxytocin. This guy has written over 100 studies. I don't know how anybody could even write that many if they were cloned and they had AI. This is all pre-AI, so I don't know how he did it. So using the word oxytocin in the workplace doesn't really help anybody other than us to sound cool. And being cool is part of the importance of understanding neuroscience, because it shows people that we've done the homework to understand what is driving functional relationships. And when we work with teams and executives, and we say to them, you cannot just spray oxytocin into the restaurant downstairs or into the water cooler, which you can and has been done. You won't get people to want to be more engaging. It'll work for a while, just like it does when a mother is breastfeeding, but we're a bit older than babies. And it doesn't facilitate sustained relationship well-being. And the points around emotional well-being and emotional intelligence, a huge part of that is having that social intelligence. And back to the theme of today around leadership, I mean, is their ability to have that social intelligence, to know that that is basically their only weapon in driving business results. So I love where Tanner's going on this, and I'm really enjoying this conversation. I mean, so thank you for facilitating such a deep dive into the topic.
You're welcome. I think we're almost about to wrap up, so I want to give everyone a chance to have 30 seconds to a minute of last comments before we sign off. So, Cody, you want to say last few words?
I'm ready to start writing a paper, so you tell me where to start, and I'll get going.
I mean, Cody, if you want to stay on a bit afterwards, we can have a shallow dive into that conversation. And anybody else on the hour, we can spend 10 minutes just to look at what that means. But anyway, sorry to interrupt you. You're busy signing off, Cody.
Yeah, and JJ, actually, I do need to get off at 11 or so here in 6 minutes. But
okay, no worries.
No, I this was great. I think the respect aspect of learning how to be an efficient leader is paramount. And so the last two chats that we've had really have helped me tremendously, and I hope they're helping our listeners.
Awesome. Claudia?
First, thank you for such a warm and engaging welcome. I feel like I am at home, so that's awesome. Like that's great safety in itself. And I think Justin or JJ, whatever you prefer, you just like a bunch of nerds. Well, then you're the coolest bunch of nerds I've ever spoken with, and I'm used to working with engineers like in technology and techie people. And so it's really good to kind of, I think I'm going to really enjoy being in this community and learning, also bringing my perspective to it. And so that's the whole point, right? The diversity in thought. Sure. So I really, there's so much more I could say on leadership. I mean, it's my thing. I love it. So just happy to meet you all. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. It's our pleasure having you. So, it's this roundtable is the first Saturday of every month. And we'll be looking forward to having you in the next one. And I'll talk a little bit about that at the end. Let's see, Darish.
I absolutely loved this conversation that we had. It's really opened my mind to other possibilities and other aspects, especially being an effective leader. So thank you for allowing me to be a part of this dialogue. I really appreciate it, and hearing and listening to everybody's perspective. So thank you.
You're welcome. Tanner, bring us home.
All right. So I just want to, again, thank everyone for being a part of this. Thank you for having me. JJ, thank you so much for your kind words. I'd love to dive into multiple other conversations. I want to round back on a couple things. One, as leaders, we need to be arrows in, right? We need to be introspective and understand ourselves. And when we talk about respect, we have to respect ourselves first before we can respect others, right? And what our teams need, as we coach other leaders, we need them to recognize that they have to show up for themselves first, right? sometimes your best yes is a no. And you need to recognize where your gaps are and how you can help others. And that can sometimes be the most respectful thing that you can do. And I work with an incredible woman. Her name's Tracy Nail, and she has a saying that I just absolutely love that I'd love to just close with. And it's behavior is driven by needs. When somebody's needs aren't being met, it affects their behavior. And conversely, when their needs are being met, it changes their behavior dynamically. So when we understand what somebody's needs are and we can show up and truly respect that, then we can have impactful change on behavior. So thank you guys so much for having me on this call.
Wow, that's pretty powerful. All right, Dr. JJ, go ahead, and then I'll close it up.
I wanted to say a couple of things. The first one is that a leader is part of the leadership, and leadership is a team effort. It's no longer there's a leader, driving change there. The whole idea of the Elon Musk being the universal solution, it's really much a team effort. And that comes back to the core philosophy of us building this discipline of the neuroplastician. It's about building a community-centric environment where we can discuss the science within the boundaries of a healthy and safe community. So Tanner, Naresh, and Cody, I'd really love you guys to dive in and come to the other conversation that we're having, because if you think Amin's sessions are good, wait, my friends, you'll see what other cool stuff's going on. But I'm just kidding. I mean, it's not as though this is terrible. There's so much other cool stuff going on. So I really want you guys to chime in. So, I mean, thanks once again for a rock and roll fun session. You really know how to facilitate a conversation so elegantly and so professionally.
Thank you. Thank you for the kind words. So respect, it's both a guiding principle and a neural catalyst. It weaves an intricate tapestry in the realm of leadership. Leaders who wield the power of respect change interactions and mold the neural pathways underpinning the symphony of effective leadership. I'm just going to say this last word. Respect is a two-way street. And that is something that we need to learn and we need to teach our people. Because nowadays, it's all about, I'm going to get into my corner and you have to respect me. It's a two-way street. We're going to leave it at that. Thank you for being with us. Join in every first Saturday of the month. We will be having these sessions. The next one, I can't wait for it because it's what I really, truly love, which is authenticity. How do you bring your authentic self and the neuroplasticity behind that? Thank you, everyone.
Thank you
so much.
Cheers. Bye.
Thank you. Have a blessed day.
Thanks, Tanner. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Have a blessed day, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. Amin, can I just stay on with you for 1 second?
Yep. You want to stop recording? Or
very good. Thank you for that. Would be a very good bit of logic. Stop recording. Thank you.